Never you make the mistake of believing that everyone thinks or feel the same way like you. People are different. People think differently. People act and behave differently. Even in your marriage or your relationship, one of the greatest mistakes you will make is assuming or feeling or believing that everyone think the same way or that everyone feels the same way that you feel. Thinking that everyone or everybody is like you have several consequences, including in your marriage and in your relationship. Never you make that mistake of thinking that everyone thinks like you. Many people, the price they are paying today, which they don't like, is as a result of this assumption. They assumed that the same way they are, people are the same way. There are some places, there are some part of the world where joke is allowed. For example, the people joke a lot there, like where I'm coming from. People crack jokes a lot. You can meet someone in a public vehicle, in a public bus, and crack joke with them. Someone you have never met for life, and then you see such a person and crack jokes with them, and they understand you. Everyone will just laugh, smile, and go freely. While there are some part of the world where things like that are easily misunderstood. There are places that if you crack common joke with a stranger, it might land you into trouble. So one thing you should know about life is this: people are different. And if you realize this, it's going to help you a lot in your marriage and in your relationship. Sometimes you make this mistake. You feel the way you now, for example, if you are good, if you are too good, don't assume that everyone is as good as you are. And the other way around, if you are bad, don't make the mistake of thinking that everyone is as bad as you are. What I'm trying to explain to you, I want to teach you on a topic that will interest you, that's going to help you in building your marriage or your relationship. And I tell you the mistake people make in a relationship or in marriage. Stop assuming. Stop assuming. Number one negative effect of this assumption that people are the way you are is miscommunication, especially in marriage. It leads to miscommunication. Now, assuming that others think and feel as you do can lead to misunderstanding. It can lead to misinterpretation. It leads to miscommunication. In marriage, you will misunderstand their words. You will miscalculate their word. You will misinterpret their word. And the same is applicable vice versa to you. If you are thinking that everyone thinks the way you think, people might misunderstand you. People might miscalculate you. People might miscalculate every of your steps or even your words. I will give you a good example from the Bible, the story of Adam, Eve, and the serpent. If you read, for example, the book of Genesis, chapter 3, if you read from verse 1 to 6, when the serpent approached Eve in that scripture, the serpent, first of all, asked about the commands of God. Now, in a subtle way, it was like the serpent was implying that God was trying to withhold something very beneficial, something very important, something that is good to the woman. The serpent started by asking her, did God say that you should not eat? Did God say? Did God say? And then Eve also, on her own part, assuming that the serpent had a good interest at heart, she failed to recognize the deceptive, the subtle nature of the serpent. And she was so free in her heart, and she began to share the plan of God. She began to share the idea, what God says, so to the serpent. Now, don't forget what God said. If you read in the account of Genesis chapter 2, what God said to the man and the woman, what God said to them is, of all the trees in the garden, he said, you are free to eat from every other trees, but you see the one at the center, the one at the middle, he said, you shall not eat from it. You shall not eat from it. That's what God instructed them to do. Now, when the serpent asked the woman added her own. She said, she stretched it further by saying that God said that they should not eat from it. In fact, that they should not even touch it. And that was what aroused curiosity in the serpent that made him to inquire more, to direct more, to take over from where God stopped. You see, a lot of assumptions played a role here. In the mind of the Eve, of the woman, she assumed that serpent had her best interest. It's costly. This is exactly what affects many marriages today. Assumption. Nothing destroys marriage, nothing wastes marriage like assumption. When you have something in mind, when there is something that you feel that is a need that you want that is not being met, rather than open up, rather than speaking out, you begin to assume that your spouse in a relationship will understand. You begin to assume that they know what you feel in your inside. You feel that they understand. They should know. Why wouldn't they know what you need? Why wouldn't he understand what you need? Why won't she understand? Do you know that, for example, a wife might be complaining that the husband is not spending enough money on her, is not giving her enough money. You see, rather than in your inside, you are just wasting your life grudgingly every time you are beat about it. Why not open up? By the time you open up to your spouse, you get to understand a lot of things. There are many things that might play a role that will make him not to be giving or spending too much money on you. It might be that he's facing financial crisis, which he might not tell you. That's the nature of men most times. A man might be facing some challenges, but he might not tell you. He might be in debt, which he might not like to tell you. A man is full of pride. A man's life, a man naturally has this ego that he might feel that telling you, one, will not solve the problem for him. Two, might puncture his ego, might make him feel less important. So he will keep it to himself. And then when he's trying to struggle to come out of it, you will not be attacking him, feeling that he's not spending much money on you. There are a lot of things that might cause that. But if you can ask questions, speak to him, communicate, both of you communicate, and then you will get to find out what really is the issue that is facing you in your marriage. If you check very well, in that same story of Adam and Eve with the serpent, Eve her assumption led to a lot of problems in their marriage. Now, Adam also, on his own part, the man, assumed that Eve, being the woman, understood the gravity of disobeying God when she came to share the fruit to the man. Adam assumed, and Adam, on his own part, would have opened up. They would have communicated a lot in that process before eating the fruit. But Adam assumed that that Eve understood the enormity, the gravity of eating from this fruit, and he kept mute. Adam also, on his side, failed to communicate clearly because from day one, it was Adam that received this instruction. Now, Adam failed to communicate it to the wife. Adam assumed that Eve will understand, that Eve knows what God said. If Adam had taken time to sell this vision, this plan of God, this command of God to Eve, the wife, it wouldn't have led to their downfall in the garden. A lot of marriages have crashed today because of what I'm telling you. An assumption, miscommunication. Why? The reason is simple, because either the man or the woman is having these feelings that the other person should know, should understand. If he knows, he should know me, he should understand me, what I like and what I don't like. Nothing like that. The way you are is not exactly how others, even identical twins, are not the same. In their thought pattern, thought processing pattern, they are never the same. They might look alike facially. They might dress up, wear the same kind of clothes, but their thought process can never be the same. Don't assume, stop assuming in marriage. Stop thinking that the other person feels the way you feel or thinks the way you think. It has led to a lot of issues in marriages and relationships. And hear this, by the time it gets to the peak, the marriage scatters, everyone goes their way. That's when you see the effect of this kind of life. I was once a victim of this kind of life. When I used to feel that everyone is as simple as I am. I used to think this way. When I see someone, when I meet you for the first time, I feel so simple. In fact, my wife also has been a victim. She also feels the same way. Both of us, as if we are the same kind of person. Whenever we meet with a new person, we feel so free. We relax a lot. We think that everyone is as simple, as good as we are. So we follow people the same way, with the same thought pattern, with the same mindset, only to always land us into issues. You see someone who will spend all we have on the person, we will spend our time, we will tell you, in fact, we will pour out our heart, no secret. We want to help. When we see someone in trouble, especially, we try to help you with everything we have, with everything we are. We can even devote, even our secret, we'll tell you everything, just as a way of encouraging and helping you out. Only to discover with time, many people, after helping them, after taking your time, leaving what you should be doing for yourself, spend all your time, spend all your energy, spend all your money to help them out. As soon as you help them, they get released, they disappear. One day, my wife called me and was asking, I said, "Don't, let's think about this. Does it mean there is a force at work behind the scene? We need to pray, prayerfully follow this." You see, after much prayers, I still made her to understand that, see, this is where we need to apply wisdom. Life is not always the way we think. People are not always the way we think or feel. People are different from the way we are. You might be helping someone with all your heart, not knowing that the same person is looking for your weakness, looking for a way to bring you down so that he or she will climb up. So you are trying to help them up the stairs, and they are trying to climb the stairs and bring you down and then climb and use you as a staircase to rise up. Please, I pray for you as you're watching me. May this kind of issue not ruin your marriage. I pray for you. Amen. The Lord bless you for joining us this morning. Please watch out again. We'll be sharing with you the number 2 mistake people make in a relationship or a marriage. Remember, stop assuming. Assumption in marriage, a relationship can be costly. The Lord bless you. The Lord be with you. Please subscribe with us. Also share these videos, and so that you encourage us the more. And also give us a thumbs up if you like it. Be blessed.